Morning everybody, how are we doing? Sam here, United People's TV, live on YouTube and Facebook with MUFC Daily. And the only thing we can really talk about today is that Chelsea game yesterday. It was another match against a top six side where Manchester United have not won. I mean, one look at this graphic really does sum up Manchester United's problems under Jose Mourinho. As far as I am concerned, it's Jose Mourinho's biggest problem at Manchester United. So we've had 7 games away against top 6 rivals since Jose Mourinho started. We've had 0 wins. We've had 4 losses and 3 draws. And in that, we've only scored 1 goal. 1 solitary goal, which was a consolation goal against Spurs by Rooney. That is the only goal Manchester United have scored away from home against top 6 rivals under Jose Mourinho in 7 games. That is abysmal. That is embarrassing. And at what point do we all openly admit that this is a big problem that needs to be resolved? You know, one thing I'll give Jose Mourinho credit for yesterday is Man United came out of the blocks firing against Chelsea in that first 20 minutes. The game was far more open than anybody actually expected it to be. Had Marcus Rashford scored his header, it would have been a completely different game. I think Gary Neville was absolutely spot on in his analysis in saying that the reason Mourinho did that and the reason Mourinho opened up in those first 20 minutes is because he knew how much damage an early goal against Chelsea would have caused that Chelsea team, because we would have then been in control, the pressure would have been on him. But instead, Man United didn't get that goal, and after 20 minutes, Kante controlled the midfield with Fabregas and Bakayoko and Hazard dropping deeper. Man United had no answer. Matic and Herrera were left completely isolated by an ineffective and almost invisible Henrik Mkhitaryan, who, for me, has to be dropped sooner rather than later because he's been so poor. But let's get straight into the comments here from what you think about the game. No changes needed, says Byron King. I'm not sure how you can say that, Byron, because our record away from home, as I said, against a top 6, poor. You know, Misongo's saying we just miss Pogba, honestly. We've had Pogba away at Anfield last year. Anfield, you know, drawing away at Anfield is a good result as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying that that is the issue. But the issue is all the games around it. Yes, Stamford Bridge is a bogey ground. 1 win there in 16 years. 2002. Since then, we've only had 1 win. That was 2012. Just an unreal record at Stamford Bridge. But losing away to Arsenal, that was a poor loss. Losing away to Spurs, that was the last game at White Hart Lane. Maybe I'm being over dramatic here. Maybe you disagree with me, but I think it's such a major issue. And because of how tight the race at the top of the league is now, previously, if you just got a draw against your rivals, whether that be 1 game, 1 team or 2 teams, it wouldn't be too bad. But now, because so many teams are ready to compete for the Premier League title, Man United under Jose Mourinho are going to keep dropping too many points everywhere. And because of that, we end up being 6, 7. How many points are we off Man City now? Let's have a quick look. I think it's 7. 8. 8 points off Man City. And we're playing Arsenal soon. We're playing Man City soon. It's just tough. We've got Tanvir Bali saying Mourinho is a coward afraid to attack. That's not the case yesterday, Tanvir. Man United played well in the first 20 minutes. It was when Chelsea we were just outclassed. It wasn't a tactical thing. It was just down to the quality of the individuals and the players on the pitch. And with Fabregas and Bakayoko dominating that midfield and Kante absolutely dominating the midfield, Man United had no answer. That was the issue. It wasn't the fact that we were parking a bus. No bus was parked. Problem is we had no driver on the bus. We were just sat there stagnant going forward without any creative spark because Mkhitaryan's out of form and Pogba wasn't in the team. Let's go to the Facebook comments and see what you have to say here. William Lennox saying some of the players are just not good enough. I would agree with that. We do need another transfer window, but Mourinho's had a lot of money and he's had a lot of transfers already, so he should be competing in these games. Got Camo watching from Botswana and Ozzy watching from Singapore. Good morning to you both. Wayne Bless Gordon, as always, watching from New York. Anthony watching from Jamaica. Big up yourself as well. Ali asking about Juan Mata. Not really sure about Juan Mata because, let's be honest, we need a new creative spark in that new number 10 role. Not new number 10 role, in that number 10 role. Mkhitaryan is just not cutting it at the moment. And at some point, he has to be dropped. Surely, that point has come, as far as I'm concerned anyway, because we are just not doing enough going forward. Mkhitaryan needs to be dropped, says Sam RG. Mata should be starting and Andreas needs to be recalled. He does need to be recalled, but I don't think it will happen. But I think when Pogba comes back in and he's fit, when Fellaini's actually getting back to his better form, I think we should be okay in midfield. It's just that we're struggling with our injuries. Joe S saying Lukaku didn't do great either. Lukaku, we need to understand exactly the striker that Lukaku is. And we saw the complete opposite in Alvaro Morata yesterday. On the one hand, you've got Alvaro Morata, a striker who is capable of making chances on his own, of sprinting with the ball at his feet. Great dribbler. More so than most people give him credit for, I think. But Lukaku is not that sort of striker. Lukaku is a sort of striker where if you cross it into the box and you create chances for him, he'll finish them. He's a great finisher, a great poacher, and he'll get you 30 plus a season like that. What Lukaku isn't is a striker who, when playing in a formation when he's isolated up front on his own and there's no creative spark from midfield, Lukaku is not going to be the striker that turns two defenders and gets a shot off. He did it once or twice. I think one chance in that first half, Courtois made a smart save down to his right. It was the only time that Lukaku was able to craft space on his own and get a shot off. What Man United need for Lukaku is Pogba, or somebody like Pogba creating the chances for him. That is when Lukaku was scoring plenty at the start of the season, and that is when Lukaku will continue to score. But until that service comes, Lukaku is going to keep drawing blanks. And Man United are a team. Man United need the team together. If Kante wasn't in that team yesterday for Chelsea, it would have been a completely different game, because his position in that squad allowed Fabregas and Bakayoko just to concentrate on playing the ball forward, and they both played fantastically well. And Hazard put in a real shift in a number 10 role, sort of making that midfield so dominant because there were so many players there, and the opposite was Henrik Mkhitaryan. Craig Waterloo saying we simply do not have enough runners off the ball, especially from Lukaku. Now, that is a comment I will 100% agree with Craig. Saw it against Spurs at home as well. From Spurs, because Spurs, every time the Spurs player had the ball, there was 2 or 3 players making movement for space to find the pass, a nice short easy pass. With Manchester United, we're too static. Martial really hangs out wide. Mkhitaryan just not making enough movement. And because of that, we found it very difficult to pass through the lines. We ended up relying on balls over the top, the Hollywood passes to try and break through a Chelsea defence which was playing very, very well, and we couldn't get through it. Because of that, we drew a blank. And Rashford's header was the only real massive opportunity that we had. Yes, Lukaku may have had a shot. Yes, Rashford had a chance. Fellaini had maybe Fellaini's was a big chance. Rashford's free kick at the end. But the chances were limited. Chelsea had 17 shots, we had 6. That sums it up. Chelsea in that second half were utterly dominant. And it was obviously not a 4-0 as it was last year, but it could have been 2-3-0 had Morata got his... Morata was clean through, he fluffed his lines. Bakayoko was clean through, he fluffed his lines. It could have been more than one. Honestly, I think a 1-0 probably flattered Manchester United's second half performance. I think a 2 or 3-0 would have been absolutely fair. Sutus on Facebook saying Pogba comes back and it'll be the same story still. Write this down. A proper football club should not be relying on a player like Fellaini to save away matches against the top 6. Fellaini came off the bench and he made a difference. And I think it's a bit unfair to try and say that we shouldn't be relying on Fellaini, but you shouldn't be relying on any one player. And what I think we can all agree on now is that Man United do rely on Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba seems to be the piece of the puzzle that makes Lukaku tick, that makes Matic tick, that makes Martial tick, that makes the whole team tick. Without Pogba in the team, we're a bunch of cogs, not working in unison, not working together. It's stagnant going forward. There's nobody bridging that space between midfield and attack, with Mkhitaryan being injured. And it's a major concern for Manchester United, because we have now lost 2 games in our last 4 or 5 away to Huddersfield and away to Chelsea. We did get a win against Swansea and a big win against Spurs in between, but it's about building momentum. And going into this international break now, we've got 2 weeks to think about what we've got coming up next, to think about our fixtures. And previous international breaks, we've gone in actual decent form. But international breaks, I'll be honest, under Jose Mourinho, they've actually killed momentum for United. So fingers crossed this can actually build some momentum. Because coming back from this international break, heading into that crazy December period, we play Arsenal away on the 2nd of December, and we play Man City at home on the 10th of December. 8 days we've got there, and 2 massive games. Arsenal away They're reeling at the moment. They're a club in freefall as far as I'm concerned. Maybe not freefall, but a very stagnant football club. Manchester United's football might be stagnant at the moment, but we're moving forward as a club. We are still second in the league. Everybody is struggling to catch up with Manchester City. They're in a planet of their own at the moment as far as I'm concerned. Pep Guardiola winning 15 games on the bounce. Unreal record from him. And we're second still. If we can beat Manchester City at home, that will change things. But are we really likely to beat Manchester City in this sort of form and their sort of form? I'm not sure. Ola Wenger saying that Mickey needs to sit on the bench for the next 2 months. A little bit extreme. But as long as we have Paul Pogba back for that Arsenal game, I'll be confident again. And it's putting a lot of pressure on Paul Pogba in saying, look, as soon as he comes back, everybody expects the football to be great again. Not what I'm saying, but I expect Manchester United to be a little bit more fluid in the football that we are playing. That is the thing that we need. Let's go to Facebook for a few more comments. Ozzy saying maybe, or do we need Carrick? Carrick would have made a difference against Chelsea, but that was such an energetic midfield. Carrick would have still been overran. He's not an energetic midfielder anymore. He's a player who relies on just being static and finding the passes. And we could have done with that creative guile from Carrick, but he wasn't going to be the solution to our problems yesterday. Rusty Steele saying, what about the young lad in Spain who's on loan? Think he could do a job? Talking obviously about Andreas Pereira. He could probably do a job, but he's doing well out in Valencia. So why ruin his loan season just to bring him back and make him sit on the bench and be a potential option from the bench at Manchester United? Bad Boy saying we couldn't beat an egg at the moment. Not away against a top 6 side, that's for sure. But United are still, as I said, second in the league, 23 points. No team apart from Manchester City has scored more goals than us this season. There really is a lot of reason to be positive about Manchester United, but this is Mourinho's biggest problem at United, and this is what Man United need to resolve. Because our performances away against the top 6 are tragically bad. And what I want to see is more of that first 20 minutes against Chelsea and less of the 70 after. Against Chelsea in that opening 20 minutes, Man United went for it. With Lukaku and Rashford up front, we had 2 strikers. We had balls playing in behind them. Valencia was doing damage. Young was having loads of success on the left-hand side. We need more of that. But to do that properly, I think it's a tactical thing. It's a decision from Jose Mourinho to say, you know what, we can go toe-to-toe with these teams. But we're still second. I think this is the confusing thing about Manchester United at the moment. There are so many reasons to be positive, but there are fair reasons to criticise and raise concerns about how we are playing. And for me, as I said, Man United's away form in these top 6 games. That is the biggest reason to be concerned about how Jose Mourinho has got Man United playing. Let me know what you think. Let's read a few more comments out before we wrap up the show. Got SoFlo saying, why not 4-4-2 with Lukaku and Zlatan? You can bet your bottom dollar that as soon as Zlatan is fit and available, he's probably going to come back into this team now because we are lacking that little bit of a spark. And someone like Zlatan may be capable of playing in that number 10 role, for example. Maybe he can make the difference in midfield. We do need a leader and we do need somebody there to make the difference. Maybe we'll do a video later this week looking at number 10 options and hear your comments and your opinions on who you think should be starting in that number 10 role, because right now it should be Mkhitaryan. Got Scala 1987 saying Pogba would try too hard in his return. We would get caught in midfield due to him pushing up and attacking. And guess what? People will then slate Pogba also. As I said, it's a risky game just to rely on somebody so much. And that is the pressure that's going to be on Pogba's shoulders. But I think he can cope with it. Gary saying Mourinho knows the midfield pair doesn't work yet. He won't play in midfield 3 with McTominay. We need a number 10 to help Lukaku. Gary, I think that formation we had yesterday, 3-5-2, we did play with a midfield 3. It's just that Mkhitaryan was so non-existent that he wasn't helping the midfield 2 of Matic and Herrera, and he wasn't helping the front 2 of Rashford and Lukaku. That's probably the hardest position in that formation. And Mkhitaryan, bang out of form, just isn't capable of doing it at the moment. That's where we need the big change. Anyway, thank you all for joining in today's MUFC Daily. If you're new on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. As I said, it's an interesting talking point. It's a frustrating weekend. We've now got 2 weeks to sit on it, to think about it, to look at Man United's options, and then we've got, I think, Newcastle at home after the international break, followed by Basel away, Brighton at home, and Watford away. That's Man United's games coming up towards the end of November. We need to get some wins there. Frustrating loss. 2 losses now at Stamford Bridge for Jose Mourinho as Manchester United manager. We need to buck up our ideas away from home against the top 6 sides. How can we change and improve that? You let me know in the comments. Until tomorrow, take it easy.